So I asked ChatGPT, if you were Satan, what would you do to prevent people from trusting Jesus as their Lord and Savior? This is what I found.
If you and I were sitting across from each other and you asked me that question, I'd lean in a little and lower my voice. I wouldn't start by telling you Jesus isn't real. That almost never works. Instead, I'd just keep you busy. I'd make sure life stayed loud enough that you never sat still long enough to hear him. Notifications, deadlines, entertainment, stress, anything to fill the silence where God usually speaks. I'd also tell you he's good advice, but not essential. I'd say, sure, believe in him if it helps, just don't make it your whole life. I'd frame him as a nice add on, never the center. Something you visit on Sundays, not someone you surrender to daily. Then I'd start working on your timing. I'd whisper, you've got plenty of time. You're not that bad. You'll get serious about God later. And the more you listened, the more later would keep moving. Tomorrow would always be safer than today, until one day there's no tomorrow left. If you got close to trusting him, I'd hit you with your past. I'd remind you of every mistake, every regret, every ugly moment you try not to think about. I'd convince you you're too dirty for a holy God. Jesus is for better people than you, I'd say, and I'd hope you'd believe it. I'd also make sure you got hurt by church somewhere along the way. A hypocrite, a betrayal, a disappointment. I'd hope you'd confuse people with Jesus and walk away from both. And if none of that worked, I'd soften him. I'd make Jesus feel gentle but powerless, loving but not Lord, inspiring but not demanding. I'd trim off the parts where he calls you to die to yourself. I'd leave the comfort and remove the cross. Because if you ever really saw him, not as a character, not as a mood, not as religion, but as king, if you ever realized he knows everything about you and still wants you, I wouldn't stand a chance. So I'd do whatever I could to keep you from seeing him clearly.